Let's do that. All right. So first of all, we're going to be spending a lot of time in JIRA when you start working. No matter where you work, there will be potential for you to spending a lot of time in JIRA. When you start your day, let's say you have a stand-up meeting just like this that you did today. You have that at 9:30 and you decided to wake up at 8 and sit down maybe 8:30 on your desk. Okay. So once you, let's say, get some coffee and stuff, and then you click on your work, you click, and then you see recently what you have done. So yesterday, what you have done, if there's anything on queue, and then you take some notes, you pretty much put that small piece of note on the side. And then your stand-up meeting starts, and then you can pretty much talk about what have you been working on. So what you worked on versus what you are working on. So viewed meaning, like, obviously the reason why you viewed an issue is because you're going to be working on, or you probably these are in progress for you, right? So you're going to say, oh, yesterday I worked on this, and today I'm looking into this user stories where I will be working on, right? I do not have any blocker. So on a stand-up meeting, you're supposed to answer 3 questions, right? So let's not go off topic, right? For example, your stand-up meeting starts and it should be 15 minutes, right? It shouldn't be more than 15 minutes, is because in Agile, every meeting have their guidelines. And one of the guidelines for stand-up meeting is that you answer only 3 questions: what you did yesterday, what you're doing today, and if you have any blocker. So your answer always should contain what you actually worked on yesterday. So therefore, I would suggest, if you're a newbie, somebody that's your first QA job, always write down what you did yesterday at real time. So you did something 2 hours later, just write it down. Believe me, like you could be the person saying, oh, I'll remember that, but just don't listen to yourself. Just write it down to the side as a note. You can put a digital note on your computer, or you can put a handwritten note. So the next day, you can cross check with your JIRA to make sure that you have accurate information on your note. And then when the meeting starts, this is how typically the let me go into the right project. Okay, these are typically your team will say, right? So each of the name is going to appear here. So for example, here is Rafiul, right? So they're gonna say, okay, Rafiul, you go next. So as soon as I click on it, it filters for only his task. Okay, so now Rafiul has only one task here, and it's a bug. So he's gonna say, yesterday I reported a bug and I logged it and I put it into the current sprint because this is relevant to the story that I'm working on. And if it's not fixed, then we're going to be introducing this bug to the production. So we need to fix this in sprint because this is not existing in production. So I edit there. Please let me know if you guys have any questions. So immediately you're going to see that somebody's going to open it up and they're going to ask question if there's any. And then they will say, okay, thanks for editing this, and done, right? Then they'll go to the next person, and they will say, hey, so what, you go next, right? So you're going to say, well, yesterday I was working on SSP 1, SSP 26, and 28. 20 SSP 12, I'm very nearly finished, so I will be probably finished by end of the day. SSP 15 and 16 is done, and I do not have any blocker, right? So if there is a blocker, you're going to say, well, SSP 12, I'm blocked because SSP 1 in 2026 is not ready for testing. So I just need to follow up and see if these 2 is going to be done anytime soon before I can do SSP 12. Then the developers are going to say, well, hey, listen, don't worry about maybe SSP 12 for now. It's going to take a little bit of time. We're working on both of those stories. We'll let you know. Then you can work on the other remaining issues if you can, right? But again, like, you only work when things are moved to QA, right? So I'm just giving you an example. So this is just a few ways you can express what you did yesterday, what you're doing today, and if there's any blocker, right? And this could be the board where you will immediately look and say, wait a minute, what did I do yesterday and what am I doing today, and so on. So But it is very important for QA persons to have some details during the stand-up meeting, because this is where you make your impression about what you spent your time on yesterday. It's not like people are doing micromanagement or anything like that, but this is how you gain trust. This is how you gain trust of your team, so they don't end up bugging you, or they don't end up questioning your process. So let's say you are doing testing and you follow a very specific process. You are writing your scenario, you're writing your test cases, you're writing your test automation, and then you execute them and you find bug, right? That is your QA engineering process. They will not question that because you are so detailed about giving them what you did yesterday, what you're doing today, and so and so. So it's very important. Like, you join a company and you feel like the company is awesome, the team is really great, you love everybody that you're working with, and you like to keep the job for a very long time, then my suggestion is, stand-up meeting is the perfect place for you to make the better impression about yourself. Now, you are a QA person. What is the personality? What is the number one personality of a QA person? Who wants to answer that? Who can answer that?
More detail oriented about
Right.
your work.
Right. So if you are a detail oriented person and you start your stand-up saying, yesterday I did some, what did I do? Hold on a second. All right. Yesterday I did some work. Today I'll be continuing with that work actually. And I don't know when I finish. I don't have any bug. Tell me, how do I sound? Do I sound
So
like a
weird.
detail oriented person?
This sounds weird.
Yeah, this sounds like arrogant, right? Arrogant person. Like, this sounds like, you automatically assume that people think you're doing such a great work. You have nothing to prove. So, and it doesn't sound detailed anyway. It doesn't, if anything, the whole team is going to lose comfort on what you are doing, because they're counting on you, right? You are the person right here. You see, things are being done and you are right here to kind of filter the work and say, this is approved and this is not approved, right? You were the last person to say, okay, this can go and this cannot go, right, to production. So you have pretty much the opportunity to create a big problem in production by forgetting something, right? So you move things here and then you kind of miss the bug and you let it go. Okay, now this will go into production because everything is done. UAT guys, they don't do as good of a test as what we do, because they just check your work and then they just do their just quick look and say, okay, this is what exactly we wanted it. Okay, fine, looks good to me, and done, right? They don't go details like QA go, right? And so they may have missed that issue too. So if you missed it, they missed it. But if you missed it and they catch it, that's really bad. That's really, really bad looking, right? Because imagine, like, you says everything is good and this guy says no, so it's kind of like during that team meeting, you kind of look really bad. Even though nobody's just gonna point fingers, you're gonna kind of feel bad, like, hey, how come I didn't catch this? But imagine this goes to production and now the whole application is down. You're gonna see even the CTO of the team is looking for the person who tested it, right? So imagine, like, that day they're gonna say, okay, wait a minute, we need to get to bottom of this. Who tested this application? Now let's say developer A, who created this thing, right? Even himself is gonna run and say, hey, who was the tester? Who was the tester? They're gonna find you, they're gonna corner you, and they're gonna sit down with you and they're gonna say, okay, show us really what happened. And it's not to put you on the spot. It's not to kind of blame anybody. It's just to understand what is the actual issue, because you were the person who tested it. So you should be I guess you should be the best person to find this issue. So they're going to say, okay, let's have a meeting. And now you are sharing your screen just like this. You're going to go through the flow and you're going to show them that, hey, I tested this in QA and it wasn't there, but then it's in production. So now you test it in QA and then you see that it's still there. and they're gonna say, okay, so how could you miss this? Can you explain that? At that point you have no explanation. For example, you're gonna say, oh shit, this is my bad, this is totally, I don't know what I was thinking. You know what, I'll take that as a blame. Let me make that right. I'm gonna send all of you guys an email with how can I do this better next time. Okay, so I'll take some measures on my side to make sure that I can do better in the future. And this is one way to save your job, by the way. But if you say like, no, I tested this and it's it was working, because it's technology. So there's gonna be yes or no. There is no maybe. So when you say like, no, I tested this, and you keep insisting, keep lying, you're gonna get fired the next day, most likely. But if you say, listen, I do think this could be my miss, because at that time I was also testing a few other stories and I got too confused about it. I will what I can do is that I can write an email to all of you guys and show, or at least show some progress where I can make it better for the next time, or next time this type of issues will not happen again, and write a pretty much a detailed note on that. If you guys are interested, right? That will be one, like you're owning up to your issue, right? Instead of you saying, nah, I don't know what you're talking about. I tested it, I don't know. They're like, no, but this is in QA, this is version 2.1, and we're still testing here. So how come you didn't catch it? No, I tested this and it wasn't here. So unless you have a screenshot and everything is good, then you're kind of lying, at that point. So it's really not going to be tolerated, right? Lying and blaming and also talking bad about another person is not tolerated in any of the team that I have noticed throughout the years, right? So if you let's say if you go to your manager and you talk bad about, let's say, your coworker, and say, listen, I think he's not doing his work. I see him taking like 20 cigarette breaks, whatever he smokes, and this and that. And your manager is gonna he's gonna take the information in, but he's not gonna think good about you, right? Because it's kind of like you're kind of snitching, and you're kind of like, you're not minding your business. That person may be working, right? As long as his work is done, managers don't care, right? You can take that 20 break yourself, right? Nobody cares as long as you do the work. So in IT, one of the advice, since the topic already came up, is that I would say don't try to cut throat. Everybody gets 40 hours regardless of there is work or there is no work, right? So why do we bother, try to fight with coworkers or anything, right? Just be as nice as you can be. If they don't work, they don't work. Who cares? Let them deal with their own destiny. So all right. And there is a plenty of people you're gonna see they don't work. Really, they don't work. And I've noticed there's this one person that I used to work with, and surprisingly, he's also a trainer, and he has a separate school. I'm not gonna name him. I'm not gonna bash him or anything, right? But at work, I would not tell him like, hey, why don't you do work or nothing? And I would just suggest, I would say, hey, dude, you should probably do some automation, because sooner or later we're gonna want to see automations and stuff. And I was his senior. Then he would like, oh yeah, I definitely want to learn, spend some time with me, man, this and that. Then we would go outside, walk and talk and everything. And then he would never reach out and say, oh, can I get some help with this or that? Or can I, can show me this and show me that? Nothing. He would totally forget about everything. But, so I left him alone. He's still working in the same company. I left to a new company. But it's, it is what it is, right? You can only suggest. If they don't want to listen, then they don't listen. All right. So now,
Job, I have a question for you.
yeah.
So JIRA is like a it's like workflow, right?
Mhm.
Like where you log in or your work, what you did, and what are you gonna do the next day.
Mhm.
Okay,
Right. So imagine like you get assignments, right?
Okay.
And you need to track where the assignment starts, when is the assignment actually started, and when was it finished. And then you get the overall picture, right? So if you look at the backlog, you can see future assignments, right? You can also add assignments yourself to backlog. So as a QA, you're free to add it in backlog, you know that, right? You don't even have to ask. You can add it to backlog, and then business team will take a look, will do the refining of that user story, meaning they will look at the user story, they will read it, they will then make it as a business value if they need to. They will look at the ROI, and then after that, they will introduce it to a sprint. But you can always, you have a suggestion, add it to the backlog, and then as a courtesy, you can send an email to the business and say, look, I created this user story. If that's something that you want to look into, feel free, otherwise delete it, right? And they have the rights to delete, so they can delete it if they don't like it, right? So you can continue to suggest on the backlog if you need to. There is no restrictions. And in agile, right, especially in agile, when you started working, you should be able to be part of the team. Like, nobody's going to say, wait a minute, you were a QA, you should not come up with user stories. Nobody ever said that, right? You could be very strongly about your opinion and they will take it, right? They will still take that opinion and try to work with you. You can also own the entire team. Like, you can literally own it, meaning like when you see a user story, you can tell them like, okay, this is not relevant anymore. This feature has been working such and such, and with the recent changes, this user story doesn't look like this is something is going to be relevant. Let's take a look, let's have a meeting. And now you're pretty much guiding the entire thing. You have, let's say 3-4 meetings just about that, and after that, the conclusion was this is not going to be something that the team will do. They will go ahead and move it to close or something, another status. So we can pretty much add more status here again. So it could be like not to do, right? So not will not be done, something like that is another status. All right, so let me go quickly over to JIRA, right? So JIRA has two parts, right? We got the JIRA software and we got this Confluence, right? Confluence is, okay, so today I'm gonna concentrate more on the Confluence too after the JIRA. So on the JIRA, you got your work where you can see exactly what you did, what you viewed and everything. If you go to the page, you're going to be able to see everything that you did, worked on, viewed, assigned to you, and if you started with something, okay? So as you can see, I started with my dashboard, I didn't finish and it's still there, okay? So just keep that in mind, that this is something that will help you understand where you should be working, what you should be doing, and so and so. Then you got the projects. When you look at the project, you're going to see not just one project. A company can have 50, 60, 150 projects on the list, right? So if you click on view all projects, you're going to see all of the projects in the list, but that doesn't mean everything that you are assigned to. So whichever project that you're assigned to, you're going to go ahead and click, and then you can view them. You can pretty much, let's say, for example, sample projects, you click on it, immediately you are landing onto the sprint board. You can go to the backlog, you can go to the roadmap. How many people know what is a roadmap? Anybody want to answer that? So I just wrote a few things here,
it's a
right?
step-by-step direction.
Right. So I didn't hear whatever you said, but if you want to clarify, you have the time. Just do it one more time.
I say it's a step-by-step direction that what you should do, and the time manner as well. Like, what is the time manner that you have to do that? Can you hear me clear?
Is it for useful for planning like large pieces of work?
Correct. This is roadmap is like you are planning epics, right? Epic is pretty much a large story, a story that pretty much contains the whole feature, right? So what you are pretty much including in these epics right here, which is roadmap, is that you are also including the timeline to it. Okay, these are expected timeline. Okay, it's going to take me this much time. It's going to take me, this one probably started, let's say today, and so and so. This is just you planning with your team to make sure that these epics has their expected start and end date. So this is just as a team to expect to finish this specific task. Now, if you go into your active sprint board and you click on, let me see, I think I can add that. Okay, let me see. Okay, and then okay. Okay, so if I click on a user story, and let's say this user story is related to that, you see the link issues. So if I click on it and actually, not that, cancel. There is some ways that we can actually add that epic directly here, because that way it will, oh, there you go. Perfect. Okay, I thought I knew. All right. So you see, notice like how in the roadmap we added 2 different issues, and that has timeline, right? What we can do, we can say, okay, this issue is related to that. This issue is related to this. Hold on a second. It's pretty slow. 1 second. Let me see if I'm on the right Wi-Fi first of all. Yep, I am. Okay. Okay. So, and I'm dragging and dropping. You see, nothing is changing here. It's just pretty much, you see, adding the labels directly here, right?
Is it something like adding dependency?
These are not really dependency. These are like, think about, these are a larger topic, right? And these are part of the topic. So these are pretty much less. If you finish this story, that will be 10% is done for the topic automated all tests, right? And now if you go to the roadmap, you can see how many user stories are like almost done and how many user stories like still left. Okay, so it's right here. So these are linking between, this is a new feature, by the way. JIRA didn't have this like a year ago. And so this is one way for you to kind of relate a bigger epic story to stories that are relevant to this epic. Epic is what? You guys know, right? Epic is a big story, and then we break that epic into smaller stories to make sure that our team can manage, right? The team can take manageable pieces, which is this, each and every single user stories are manageable chunks that they can work with during a sprint. So as you can see, we got 0 days remaining on the sprint. So today we'll do sprint number 3. So you guys will have a glimpse, or at least a chance to see how that works. So far we covered your work. Then we talked about all the projects. So in case you don't have permission to a specific project, but you should, then you need to ask the project manager, okay? Or the Scrum Master. Both of them will have the rights to add you to the project. Once that is done, you can have filters yourself, right? You can actually create filters if you need to make sure that you can do some analytics yourself if you want to. So for example, reported by me, you want to see how many bugs you have reported. Like, for example, let's say your manager say, hey, I don't know what you've been doing for the last 2 weeks. Let's have a meeting for like 10 minutes and quickly talk about that. And then now immediately you're panicking. Wait a minute, what is he going to ask me? You know what? Let me do some homework first, since I have some time for the meeting. You immediately go into the filter, look into reported by me, and see how many issues you reported for the last 2 weeks. So now this is a historical information. These are pretty much order by from beginning to end of your time with JIRA. So what you can do here is that you can probably put a date to it, right? So if you click on more, you can say, I want the, let me see, where's the date? Resolution date you can have created date. Where is the created date? You can have sprint probably is better. So if the last 2 weeks, then you can say, I want to know what I did in the sprint number 2, which is essentially the last 2 weeks, right? So last 2 weeks, I worked on all of these. So I'm gonna definitely take all of these as a note and put it to the side and create a document. And then I'm going to also click on all issues that I worked with, opened and closed. And then I will also take a note and put it to the side. And then what I will do is that, okay, so that's already plenty of information that I can talk about during the meeting, instead of saying, what is this meeting is all about? I don't know. And then the manager is going to say, well, the last 2 weeks, I was away, I was in vacation, I just want to catch up. How are things going? And you're just saying, well, everything is good. So your answer is everything is good, and that's it. Like, that is probably not very satisfying, right? Because everything is good. Yes, personally, everything is good. Okay, awesome, that's great. Great job, and that's it, done, right? So it still leaves some void. It still kind of doesn't satisfy a list from your side. Manager may be fine, right? He's gonna say, okay, well, he's doing good, it's fine. But still, like, you will feel that emptiness, like, okay, wait a minute, what was the meeting is all about? He just wanted to know how I am, and that's it. So it's always better to be prepared for the meeting. Always try to gather information before the meeting starts. Always know what the meeting is all about, so get some knowledge and then you sit down. So that way you have always something to say, but don't say unless you feel like there is a value to it. Don't bring up what you learned like two minutes ago, right? Trust me, these guys are knowledgeable, they've been working for a while. So don't bring something like that unless for sure that's something that you have to talk about. Then you talk about it. Don't talk about it to impress anybody. You don't need to impress no one, right? But only bring it if that is directly relevant to work, and that is something is going to make your life more easier or hard, right? Either way you want to talk about them. So imagine, like, now you're sitting down with your manager and you say, okay, so I've been working last 2 weeks, these are the list of story, I sent you the document, can you open it? And he opens it. Okay, look at the document SSP 42. That's something that I have completed on the day 1 of the last 2 weeks. SSP 41 was the next. DTS 5, that was a bug. And also 36, 35, 34 was also a bug. 2, as well as 28, 26, 24. These are the bugs that I found during testing. And then you can see stories. We got 40, 39. These are my suggestions. I created and put it in the backlog. And I'll be working with the business team to make sure that these get prioritized and get into a sprint. And these were something that I was also working on during my testing. And then you can talk about reported by you. Okay, so all issues that you did and so, right? How does that sound? That sounds like it's a productive meeting. The manager is going to be overwhelmed and he's going to say, oh, great job, really happy that you've been doing so much work, but don't burn yourself. And he's going to say, okay, thank you so much, and done, right? So always be prepared for your meeting, so there is no room for it. Otherwise, you're going to be clueless at work, right? You don't want to be clueless, because if you are that person who's clueless, you can't even enjoy your day with your friends, with your loved ones, because you're going to be thinking about work. You're going to be like, oh man, tomorrow's meeting, what am I going to say? You could be, it's always going to be like that. It's always going to be like that. So in that case, your career is not something that, maybe that's something not should be your career, right? Because you need to be very detailed about yourself, right? If you're not detailed and you're not doing the right things, you're always going to have that issue. Okay, so right off the bat, just take this as an advice from somebody who been working for some time and be able to have positive impression at work, right? Because what you want to do essentially after working in a team, within the 3 months, you want your entire team thinks like, this person is crazy detailed, and he will find the issue when we send it to him. He will find it. That's it. There is no question about it. That much of a trust that you want from them. And I'm talking about developers. They should be scared to give you the story to test because they know that you're going to find something. That's the level of thing. So many times you're going to see developers are going to be, 1 second, sorry. All right. So all right, so we talk about filters, how can it be helpful? But the other thing, you can also use the filter as looking at somebody else's, right? You see how assigned, you can actually see that, let's say this thing right here, another filter, you can say, okay, how many people are assigned to this specific thing? Or let's say your coworker, right? You find him here, right? And you want to see how many he finished within that week. That just gives you a good measure how much work he's doing, and then therefore you can do always 1 or 2 more, so that way you pretty much keeping up instead of you doing so much work, right? There is no need for you to work like 24/7, right? So you just want to do a little bit better than everybody else. That's it. That's the way I would put it. Like on your first job, don't go in and try to do everything. Just do a little bit better than everybody else if you can. That way you feel happy and they feel happy as well. All right. Now let's go into the dashboard real quick. On the dashboard, you can create your own dashboard and you can have a default dashboard. So if you look at the default dashboard, its dashboard is all about informations that will help you do your job daily basis. So here, as you can see, we got projects that I am assigned to. So these are projects that I am assigned to right now. And this is assigned to me, the task that I need to finish. And these are going to display based on priority. And then anything that I did in JIRA, all the activities, what did I do so far, it's going to be displaying here. But I can always rearrange, you see. But not only rearrange, I can also add more gadgets, right? So I can say, look, I will add this bubble thing. And that's it. Now I can configure the bubble thing saying I want this, this, this. So 1 week and participants, right? So I'll just go ahead and leave it as default and click OK. Oh, I need to do BTS. Okay, that is the project, and then save, boom. And I can now see the correlation between day and participation for this specific project, even though I am on multiple projects, right? So I can have multiple of these on my dashboard. So you can customize this for sure. You can have your own, you can have a private dashboard that nobody can see, or you can have public dashboard where you can actually go into and just have a glimpse for the day and understand what you need to do to make you more productive. That's the motivation here, right? That's the goal here. Then you look in the people, right? How many people belong to a specific team and so. You're going to see it here. You can even add team members if you need to. Add team members here at this level. You're going to be able to add only people that already have JIRA accounts and everything. And you will be adding another person from another team to here, right? So you, in your team, if that's something that you need to add. And keep in mind that everybody here today that provided me with an email address, you are an admin. I made all of you guys an admin for a good reason, right? But don't abuse it. Okay, so that is fine. And then we are at last, we're looking at the button create. Create is pretty much creating anything. You click on it and now you have options to create story, bug, or epic. Okay. the best practices of creating these issues and bugs, I will say, do as a homework, understand what it is that you need to, how would you want to create? For example, if you want to create a task, what should be the best way to create it? Okay. And these are default fields that you need to fill out. If you want to create a bug, what should be the important information that you need to include in a bug? And that is an interview question, guys. What will you create? What will you include in a bug if you create one? Then we have story, same thing. What do you think a good story should contain? In Agile, you're going to see sometime you're going to see like they only contain this, like verify, and that's it, done, right? Then you have to go back to your BA and say, hey, what do you mean by this? Can you provide more details? And they will then provide some details on it. Okay. So, but they sometimes want to get away with giving you one line as a story, right? So you want to ask more, because otherwise you're not going to be able to narrow down and test appropriately. Okay, so that is all about JIRA, right? Any questions before we go into Confluence?
What is the link for JIRA?
Oh, the link's right here. If you give me, I guess so far, if you gave me an email, you probably should get an email with an invite, right?
I didn't get it.
Okay, let me quickly go and let me show you guys so far who was productive and who was not productive. Okay. Ahmedur looks like he signed up and he did something. Okay. And I'm gonna leave it as that. Ali Mozumdar did almost nothing. Okay, so no activities. Same thing, we got Anisul did something, but Anisul, okay, so maybe this is duplicate. He had both of them, right? So one he did and the other one he didn't, which is fine. Arif didn't do anything at all. Oscar didn't do anything at all, right? So just, I'm not gonna mention too much, just go ahead and see who did it. So this person didn't do anything. These two didn't do anything, right? Okay, so is this, okay, let me see if Kamal is here. He's not even here today. Okay, so he didn't do anything at all, right? And then we got these two persons also didn't do anything, right? So if you're looking at your own name and no activities, then you may want to go in and log in and do something, right? Right here for, yes.
I didn't receive the link though. It says like a recent invite, but I didn't receive anything in no email.
Okay, which one are you here?
Robiel 07.
Robiel
07.
Right here, okay.
Yeah.
So I see you, okay, so I'll resend it because you didn't even accept the invite. So is this your email? Like, is it correct?
rabiul07@hotmail.com. Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna resend this real quick. You see, an email has been sent. If you don't see it, then, you know, I don't know what to, maybe you want to use it.
I still, I ignored it yesterday. I thought there's like a spam. So I.
Okay.
On this list.
Okay. Anybody else here that is missing, just quickly give me a text on the chat with your email and I'll add you. I believe a lot of people are added. There is plenty of people that did something, logged in, and maybe like here and there just moved around, didn't do much. And this
one more time, please. Nahar94j@gmail.com.
Okay. Let me go ahead and add this. Can you text it here so that we don't have a lot of back and forth on the chat?
Thank you.
All right, so while we do that, the other side of JIRA, which is called Confluence, and Confluence was actually created for, let me just go back here. Okay, Confluence, let me open this up into, okay, let me open it up right here. Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and try it now for you guys, and you can also do it and start the trial. It's fine, everything is trial here. Invite, okay, I'm gonna invite all of you guys that are already there, so it's working on it. But Confluence is pretty important as well at work, and you should be able to know how to edit. Confluence is pretty much, think about Word document in cloud. Okay, think about Word document in cloud, but it's more powerful, right? You can do, okay, so in Word document, can you do pretty much everything? I think you can, right? You can pretty much create even a web page looking document in Word document, right? So here you can do the same thing. It's just that when you finish, it will have a link. You can associate, you can pretty much associate people around the Confluence. People can like your page. People can share your page. The page can belong to a specific department. Okay. So if you're a technology department, because you initially, like, obviously you're going to be a technology department because you're in IT. So when you create something, you're going to be creating on technology department. And then if this is something, this page is something that maybe the entire employees, or let's say you work for Chase Bank, to give you guys a better sense here. You work for Chase Bank and you created a Confluence page. And that Confluence page happened to be on how to use the teller system, for example, right? Because you were the tester, you decided to create this tutorial on how to learn about teller system. So now that Confluence page could be shared with the new tellers or the teller manager, right? Who does the training before a teller goes to a branch, right? So they could be the person who trains the teller, looking at the wiki and understand what are the new features that they should be also focusing on teaching during their time with this newly hired teller, right? So pretty much these documents will be used by anybody who's interested in learning about the application or anything that you want to show and display. The other thing is that you can be creating also a document that will show how to, let's say, hold on a second. All right, it's coming up. Okay, so let's say our team, and we're not IT support, we're software development, right? So I'm going to click next, select my role. I'm going to say something like QA manager or something, right? Next. Space name, I'm just going to say DTS. Next. Okay, so it's going to create a structure, and then it's going to let me create a web page. The reason why I'm showing you guys is because it's going to say, like, during the interview, they're going to talk about JIRA. Then you're going to say, yeah, I have used JIRA. And then they're going to say, okay, have you used Confluence? And you're going to say, well, I don't know, right? So you don't even, let's say you never heard about Confluence ever, right? Then we're going to have, let's say, some problem. So think about this way. All right, so welcome, blah blah. You see how the hierarchy is, the pages get started, we got DTS, and this is a get started page, and it's just telling you what to do and things like that, right? We got how to articles. This is an article that's just gets pretty much pre-built article. All we have to do is click on edit and start adding information. Okay, it's not any difference than, and it's showing you how to do it. You can even assign, put assignments here if you want to, as you can see, so it's not any different than Microsoft Word, right? As you can see up there, you can do a lot of things. You can have headings, and it's just a document that you're creating. Okay, so I'm not going to go too in depth because I'm going to cover something else today, but now all of you guys have access to Confluence and JIRA. So I will say play around with it, because this is where you're going to be spending a lot of time at work, right? So,
Bhaiya, I have a question. Like, we need to download the Confluence app or no? No.
This is web page, right? So
Okay.
web app, right? That means this is being served onto a server. All you need this URL. So let me give you that. But if you don't remember your login information, then obviously it's not gonna be working. But here you go. So I gave you the link in the chat to all of you guys, right?
Yeah.
Oh, did I give it to all of you guys? Let me see. Everyone, 1 second. There we go. Everybody should get that link. But once you log in, then you're going to be able to access both. Okay, so you see, this is Confluence, and if you click on this app, you can now go back to JIRA. Okay. All right, with that said, JIRA and Confluence, I would say spend some time. I think we have another week or two before this site is going to be down, right? I can probably request to extend for another month or something, because usually this is learning purposes, right? So JIRA will be nice enough to extend if they know this is something that we're using for learning purposes. But I don't think we need that much of a time. I think we have plenty of time. 15 days is good enough to learn what you need to do. So just log in, play around, make pretend you're in a team and try to learn as much as you can, because think about this way. Once you finish, right? Once you learned it, you're done. Don't pile it, because when you pile work, that's when you have opportunity or that's when you have problems, right? And you want to give up, right? A lot of people here throughout, I would say, I don't know, like 7-8 years that I've been working with people, 30-40 people per 6 months. Those who piles work, they give up at some point. Those who does incremental work, maybe daily basis, 1 hour or 2 hour, they are more they become more curious, right? Because each class, they always have something new to learn, and they always accumulate knowledge, which is one of the reason why at the end they become more knowledgeable and they become less dependent at the end, right? They are able to get a job with or without us, right? But those who puts everything on the plate and say, I'll eat that later, that later time never comes, because at the end you don't have the time to finish it. So that's essentially how it is, if you can picture that. Because it's, if you really take this seriously and you want to become a QA person, then you have to act like one, because the first thing first is you have to be detail and process oriented person. And obviously, if you can't be that person, just pretend that as of right now, just pretend until you be that person, right? Not everybody is by default detail and process oriented person. Not everybody is, right? So just pretend to be that person. And then when you start working, then you will be that person, right? Because that's when you're getting paid and you have your 8 hours, and that's the only thing you have to do. You don't have any other work, right? You will be at that time, be that person at some point. So fake it till you make it. All right, so with that said, JIRA topic is off right now. We're gonna go into the homework. And JIRA is like, obviously by default is the homework, whatever I gave you guys last time, that is, but also you have full access to explore the entire JIRA and Confluence. So I'm not going to talk about that. There is no more extra homework for JIRA and Confluence. Now, okay, since you guys have off, okay, Confluence, create a page, by the way. So JIRA side, I already know what's the homework, and you guys already know, right? You create, for JIRA, you create, okay, this is Confluence, go back. Okay, JIRA, okay. JIRA, you create 2 tasks, 2 bugs, and 2 epics, okay? And put it into this project, right? That was your homework last week. Only one person did it. Charlie is like only one person did it, and even though it's not on the right project, but still fine. And there are a few people did it actually.
Bill, but I can see my project here, but it doesn't show on the main. Look, Tarana Sultana.
Yeah.
My first project.
Okay, what were you not seeing?
But it doesn't show on the main page, my work.
Oh, so if you click your work and you're not seeing that?
No, but it shows on the other page. Look, that it says Tarana Sultana TS on there.
Oh, right there. Okay, okay, I see. Right, okay. Okay, so but you created a, what is this? You created a project. Why? This was not even an assignment, right? That's why I didn't even like look at it, right? Because we're not looking into getting you to create the project, right? So what, okay, so let me look at the project, right? Real quick, right? What's in it? Okay, it's taking some time. It's probably not properly configured, so it's not even loading. Let me just see the other one that you did. Okay, so it's still not loading, right? It could be also because it's not properly configured. Now, here's the deal, right, guys? Like, let me make it quick and clear, right? If you create a project, right, the chances of you creating a project at work is 0, and it could be negative all the way down, right?
Mm.
Is because you are not the project manager, right? And you are not the scrum master, and you're not the BA, and you're not the PO. Right. So you're not creating a project. Okay. The other thing is that if you create a project, it's not going to be as properly configured. Like, for example, this one, where when you land here, you see the columns for each appropriate process that you're going to follow. First process is to do. To do is when a user story is ready to be worked on. And when developers start working on, they will push it to in progress. And now once the developers are finished, they're going to say, okay, it's ready for testing. So they will dump it in QA. Now you as a QA person, you're going to look at it, you're going to test it, you're going to do all of the STLC, which is what? Test. You're going to write test scenario, test cases. You're going to then automate the test cases, and then you're going to execute. You're going to find bug. If there is no bug, then you're going to then move it to UAT. Once the UAT is done, then UAT person will then move it to done. Once that moves into done, then they're gonna then deploy this, release this to production at some point after having a detailed discussion on when to release. Okay, so there is a reason why we keep this the way it is. We can add more if we need to, but this is one way one company can follow their process. Another company you can join is going to say to do, in progress, and done. That's it. They don't want this too, right? It depends which project, what kind of project you're joining, what kind of teams you're joining, and who is your manager is. They decide what it should be. You can bring up and say, hey, look, you're missing QA column. It's very hard for me to track things. So go ahead and add me this QA column, and they will probably edit if you can explain it well. Okay. So okay, again, clarity here. You create 3 tasks, right? 3 different tasks, which will be 2 sets of each. 2 tasks, 2 bugs, 2 epic. All 3 should be assigned to the current sprint. Okay, so you're going to assign the current sprint by going into backlog after creation, and just go ahead and take it and drag it all the way up and dump it. That's it, confirm. Okay, once that is done, all 6 of it, your homework for JIRA is done. But then you can play around, right? Because there is plenty of functionality and feature that you want to learn about JIRA, and this will help you understand what JIRA is. Once you know it, you're not going to forget it. JIRA was created for what? It's not created for somebody who has to be like super tech savvy, right? JIRA was created for people that does not have technology background. There are people in your team will be using JIRA without technology background, right? So it is a self-guided tool. As long as you click next and read and not just go like this, like click, 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 click. Okay, I'm done. Click, 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 click. If you don't go like that and you click one thing and take some time, understand, read, what can you and what can you not do, then trust me, you're gonna be fine with JIRA. So that's one. Then what I want you to do is go into Confluence, okay? Click on create, and I want you to just create one article, right? One article. You see the page title, you see the description, but then you can add image, you can add columns, you can add anything that you can. So this is for image adding, this is for mentioning somebody, this is for putting some emojis, this is for adding a table. So I want you to add one of each of these elements as a showcasing your understanding, your belief of how to create an article in Confluence, right? So next class, before we start, at least my class, I'll look at those articles one by one. We're going to spend 2-3 minutes per article and just show that, okay, you have done something. It could be also like maybe some homework that you did for Shantabai, and now you want to make that as an article, right?
Excuse me, Bhaiya, what type of article we need to write there?
I'll keep as I'll give you guys the freedom, right? Like I said, article can be anything. All I care about is how many items you used, right? So I want you to see how easy for you to use this and create a nice article, right? So it could be like, let's say Shantava gave you a homework of answering 5 quiz questions. Then can you make it into a very nice format here, right? Not only just copy and pasting, but also making it into, let's say, using the number, using maybe a table, maybe using some image to display what that question means, and so and so. So just be creative if you can be. Like if you spend literally like 45 minutes, you should be done. But
Got it.
you could be creative if you want to be. This is for your own good, right? So you could be the person, just do bare minimum and say I'm done to finish with the formality, but you could be the person also be creative, right? This is for yourself, right? So the better you do, the better you'll feel, and you'll feel very confident about Confluence and JIRA, right? We want to get past this because we're not going to come back to JIRA and Confluence again, because these are just user guided application. You know what I'm saying? These applications are meant for people that do not have technology background. So we're not going to go back and try to teach you again, because this is really as easy as it should be. Like just like Facebook, right? Nobody gets trained on Facebook. They just go ahead and start by creating the account. So same thing, you go ahead and start by accounts, but you still got some training, right? How the JIRA works, the intention of JIRA, the different parts of JIRA, and just try to log in, play around with it, and try to remember them. All right, with that said, one of the interview question is that, have you used JIRA? And you're gonna say, yes, I have. How long were you using JIRA for? I've been using for the last 5 years. Okay, great. Tell me the one of the helpful, what is the best part of the JIRA that you like, or what is the helpful component of JIRA that you really like and you use, right? So that's one of the things you're gonna say, well, I like the agile sprint activity board, because that gives me a glimpse of everything for the day. I know exactly what people are working on, and I know what I'm working on, and I can actually use that to answer my questions during the stand-up meeting. So that is one of the highly used feature in JIRA that I actually interact with all the time. All right, so that could be one of the answers that you will be providing during an interview. And we cannot predict interview questions, right? So it's good to just know these tools, okay? And you're going to be using at work, so why not, right? Just make sure that you know the tool. All right, with that said, let's move on to the homework for the weekend, because you guys are going to be 4th of July weekend, and we're going to be taking off to make sure everybody gets to enjoy that weekend. Okay. So people mentioned about Code Academy, and Code Academy is something that I have been recommending since 2013 to most of our students. And it's because of the way that you can learn. Code Academy is going to be interactive way you learn how to write programs, how to write code. So if you are a person who never have coded, don't know what coding is all about, don't know what Java is, then this is for you, right? Because this way you will get some knowledge ahead of time. So when we start to touch automation, start to teach automation, you're going to be able to learn, you're going to be able to go into advance without struggle, right? So I'm going to log into my account real quick just to show you guys. And everybody will create their own account. Oh shit, I forgot. Okay. Oh, I just log in using this. Okay, so I'm logged in. Let me go into regular. Okay, regular mode. Okay, so in Code Academy, guys, everybody's going to create your own account. You don't need to use mine or anybody else's. And the reason why we don't want people to use single account is because we want to track your percentage. As you can see, learn Java 5%. Okay. This is only 5%. So I'm going to go ahead and reset. So I usually always reset the reset the progress. That's why. But this course probably was finished at least 20 times during the all 6-7 years. So again, how do I reset? There was. Okay, they changed. Okay, and then once you log in, they will try to show you like the pro side of it. So for example, you got yourself why is it so different now? Okay, all right, this is just a tutorial. Okay, that's fine. Next, so we're gonna do try it free. We're not gonna go, oh, they are making it harder. Usually it's just the free version doesn't really need money or anything. Let me see. We don't want to try. Okay, start next article. Next. Start next lesson, right? So we don't pay for it or anything. Just do the free version, because we're gonna teach you guys more into Java, right? So there is no reason for you to get their pro version. But the reason why I like Code Academy is because on the left side, they explain what it is, right? For example, introduction, they talk about what is all about, right, in Java. So we're in the topics variable, Java variable. So they talk about what variable is, okay? And they talk about what kind of variables you can have. And after that, they give you simple instruction. The instruction says, okay, in this creator.java, this is a class, okay? Defined a variable. Define some variable related to James Gosling, to the creator of Java. So as long as you create a variable with the name James Gosling in it, you are fine. That's what the instruction is, right? So we're gonna do that. Now, in Java, variable needs to have a data type already before even you can have a variable, right? This is the name of the variable, this is the data type, and this is the value. Okay. Now, how many people in a very simple way, how many people can tell me what is variable? And I know you guys did some Java classes with Chandra, right? So let's talk about what is variable. So who wants to answer that question before we can move forward?
Data type.
Variable is a data type. Maybe part of it, right? But variable, yeah. Your answer is data type. Who else wants to provide? I'm not gonna say right or wrong until some people finish.
Variable is a component given to the data type.
Okay, who else? Keep giving me answers so that
variable are containers for string data values.
Okay. Continue.
Storing data values.
Okay.
Variable is containing data type.
Data types. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
Java type, it's a piece of memory that can contain data value.
Data value. Okay, that's the keyword here, right? It's not just the data types, right? You know, obviously, if you have data, then it will have its types, because in Java you have to have data types, right? Otherwise, it doesn't know what kind of data that is, right? So variable is a piece, like pretty much like a piece of information that are stored, right? What is the purpose of variable? Let's talk about that. What is the purpose? Simply, I'm looking for 2 volunteers, and then we move forward. One, why do we create variables?
To understand the value.
Just understand, and that's it.
Storing data.
Say it again.
Storing data.
Storing data. Okay, but then why there is a need for storing data? What can you do if you store data? So the purpose of having variable in the first place. right. So 2 people already tried. Okay, go ahead.
It's in a piece of memory that can contain a data value.
Right, but that's what variable is, right? But what I'm saying, what is the purpose of creating that type of, variable? So if you are a programmer, right, you will know one thing. Like, let's say you're creating a game, and I'm gonna just maybe give you guys some idea here, right? You're creating a game. The game is, the higher you jump, the more points you get, okay? And you have 10 attempts, right? You have 10 attempts of do the jump, right, in your games. So now let's say the first attempt, and this is going to be a value. Like, first, by default, I'll put a 0, right? So let's say the highest is going to be 1 to 10 is the highest jump. So the default value is 0. And this is what kind of data type? If we're talking about whole number. So if it's a whole number, what kind of data type that is?
Int store.
Int, right? So, okay, so it's an int variable, and we put it into, default value is 0. So we want to, if somebody attempts for the first time, we want to replace this value with something, right? So now you're storing results for later use, right? So later you can say the first time he tried was, let's say 8, and the second times he tried was, let's say 6, is because the first one already exhausted that person, and the third time he tries was 7 because he tried, he did bad, so he tried a little bit harder. So pretty much, if you're creating a game, you can kind of predict, or you can kind of say, like, for example, he finished all 3 attempts. Then at the end, you can say, you did well on the first time, but next time you try this or that. Or you can pretty much average the result, and you can say, okay, you have your score is this. You can give them the score, but you need to be able to track each movement of that person if you are writing a game, in order to give them some sort of feedback, right? Because game is all about feedback. They do some actions, and based on that, they get some sort of feedback. So let's say you punch, like if it's an action game, and the punch was thrown to your opponent, that information will be stored in a variable, and then what kind of damage it caused will be also, like, so pretty much you may get like 8, and the other person will get -8 because you pretty much have caused some damage there. And that's how things will work, right? The calculation is going to happen all the time. But imagine, like, you never tracked of this, right? How would you track this information if you didn't store it into a variable? It will be new variable all the time, right? Or it'll be like new numbers all the time, and you can't really calculate anymore because it's always new, right? So that's why variable is such an important thing. We temporarily store values for later calculation or for later use. That's like in the simplest way that I can put from my side. Variable stores a value. Let's say a variable stores a value. It could be different kind of data types. It doesn't have to be just int. It could be string, it could be boolean, and it could be by a different kind. Pretty much we can have double right here. So all right, so that is just one way. So let's just solve this problem right here. And this looks like it was already solved. I'll just go ahead and run it. As long as you have James in string name. Okay, let me see. Creator define some value related to James Gosselin and create a Java. Instead of main, use system.println. Okay, so it says the instruction was instead of main, use system.out.println. In Java, you have to put everything inside of main. If you want to execute something, you have to put it inside of this main method. What is inside means this is the beginning of the main method, and this is the end. So therefore, anything in between is the inside. So if I want to print out, the name, right? Variable name, right? That means where should I put the system.out.println? Should I put before line number 3 or after line number 3? After, right? Because you have to declare that first. So I'm gonna go ahead and print it out. System.out.println name. Now tell me, why didn't I put double quotation with name?
Because double quotation only for this.
Double quotation is only for number.
Only
declared the name as a variable.
Right. So name is a variable, so it doesn't require double quotation. Double quotation is for string value, don't you think? Okay, single quote is for, in Java specifically, is for character value, and no quotation is needed for int values, because that is something that you can calculate, right? So now if I run this, James Gosselin, it passed. This is green. Okay, so this is the only way you're going to be able to move forward, right? So now I can go into the next. I have to do the next task. Once I finish it, once I finish this, then I will be able to go into the next one, and then continue until you reach your 80%. So this is just, I'm trying to just help you guys out, so when you start this, you don't struggle too much. Okay, so now notice, like, the second task was to print year created, and I did the same thing. Is pretty much same thing. Copy clipboard, reset. Okay, no, you don't want to reset that. One thing that I want to give you guys some cautions is that you may want to read this very nicely, right? Once you finish, only then go into the instructions, and then want to finish this and continue. Otherwise, you're going to spend 4 times more the time that you're supposed to spend because you didn't read it. Like, if you ever buy anything from IKEA, you will know what I'm talking about. You don't read the instruction, then you're going to spend 4 times the amount of time it takes for you to build that furniture. And then at the end, you really got nothing. Like, it wasn't a value. Like, it's just because you thought that, okay, I don't need to read this. This is just a closet. I'm going to just build it. At the end, that you messed it up. You didn't learn anything. You just did whatever you already knew, and that's it. You didn't learn anything new. Here, what we want to do, we want to read. We want to read these instructions, and only then we want to move into the given instruction right here, and then follow them, do them in the middle, and then click on run. At any times you see unexpected result, just refresh, because this is a web browser trying to run JDK here, right? It sometimes breaks, crashes, whatever, right? So to make it as smooth as it should be, just go ahead and refresh. Don't buy the pro, don't try the pro, we don't need it. By the time you finish these basics, right, the 80% or at least 90%, you're going to be ready. You're going to be more than ready for us to go into advanced. And the way we don't do it like this, right? Like, my classes will be more like relevant to, okay, so for example, variables. Then we're going to talk about variables, but then we will do variables while we do test automation, because that is the subject, right? That is what you will be doing at work. So we're going to make it more relevant to what you be doing at work, rather than giving you book answers. So that's why we need you to finish this as honestly as you can, so we can help you. Otherwise, in my class, you're going to be one of the person who's just going to say, okay, I don't understand now, but that is okay. I'll do it later. And later will never come. Okay. So that one of the thing is that, again, do it slowly, but don't pile it. You put everything for the last minute, you are the one who's gonna be successful, right? And then you may have to repeat this class. So let's just do it the right way. Do a little bit of work. Trust me, programming is not easy. And if you kind of slack on it, then you just you're asking for it, right? You're just pretty much saying, okay, I want to fail. I want to fail. I want to fail, right? It's not easy. Otherwise, everybody would do it. Trust me, everybody would do it. How come everybody that is driving cabs or maybe like working in Dunkin' or maybe working in McDonald's are not doing this or can't do this, right? It's because there are some people that they feel like, it's okay to make less money and they don't want to take the stress. And that is pretty, that is rightful thinking for as long as they're happy, that's all it matters, right? This job is something necessarily is not something that's going to make everybody's happy, right? And initially it will make you a little bit sad because you're going to feel like you don't know much. But after some time, after the 6 or 7 months of working, you'll be beginning to getting normal, right? But remember, you're carrying a title as a QA engineer, so it comes with some responsibilities, right? And the easiest thing you can do right now is that just learn little piece at a time, one thing at a time. So that way it becomes easier for everybody. It becomes easier for me to market you toward end of the class. And also it's easier for you to get a job, but also not only just get a job, be able to do the job, right? And that's what we want. Otherwise, you're going to be the person who's going to say, I heard about it, I know it, but I can't do it, It's just going to be like that. So programming is something is easier learning when you do it practice, right? We cannot pour knowledge directly to you, right? No matter how many times I show you, it's never going to feel familiar unless you try it yourself. And that's one of the advice that I'll give you guys. If you don't try it, you're never going to learn it. And that's a guarantee. You can be here all day, every day, focusing, understanding, and asking me questions, but you're not going to learn it. That's the guarantee, because it's almost like math. Like, I don't know if you ever been in a classroom setting where the professor is explaining a math to you and you're thinking, wow, I understand that. You go home and you sit down and you can't do it, right? Until you look at the book and then look at the formula and then read some stuff, and after that you're able to do it, and then now you can continue to do it, right? So that's how it's going to be exactly. It's very close, as I guess it's very similar to math, right? It's not like it's a story, you learn it and now you can tell the same story again. It's not like that, right? It's technical. So trust me, practice and practice and practice and practice. That's the only way you will learn. All right, so with this, a little bit of a sneak peek on what we need people to do is that if you go back to my course right now, let me go back. All right, and you can see 15% already. We started with the 5% and we finished 15%, and that's it. So it's very easy for you to kind of reach that 80%. Some people actually finish 100%, which is awesome, right? So that's what I would recommend, but 80% is acceptable, okay? So try to do that, and you can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So do it like this. Don't do it in one day, right? Take it easy, so you're not gonna feel a thing if you do it like that, right? You just sit down for 2 hours and then you can go about your day, come back next day, 2 hours, and you're done. But if you don't have self-discipline, then obviously it will show right here. So I'll probably ask you guys to give me a screenshot of this, right? So that way we can see. Notice like how the check mark is today. I didn't do anything the last 1, 2, 3. So this is not a good thing, right? This definitely is not a good thing. All right, so that will be your homework for the 4th of July. You can start doing it now. And so that way you have that weekend off, and Shantabai will probably give you a bit more details on how we want this to be done. He'll send an email. We spoke about it. And he'll also mention about the day off and everything through the email. And this week we'll also pretty much go over the enrollment. Again, enrollment means you already paid and things like that. So we're gonna review that. We're gonna refine and make sure that we reach out to those who has not enrolled just yet. All right. With that said, I'm gonna stop with the recording. But if you guys have any questions, I'll stay here for another 20 minutes, and then we'll end the class for today.
Jewel, I have a question.